So Mayor Pete didn't have a great night last night. And there was a moment when he wasn't getting schooled by Julian Castro, of all people. Julian Castro owned him, and it was hilarious. And I can't fathom getting owned by Julian Castro. That's just so sad. But when he wasn't getting owned by Julian Castro, he took a really terrible pot shot at Medicare for All.
The problem, Senator Sanders, with that damn bill that you wrote, and that Senator Warren backs, is that it doesn't trust the American people. I trust you to choose what makes the most sense for you, not my way or the highway. Now, look, I think we do have to go far beyond tinkering with the ACA. I propose Medicare for all who want it. We take a version of Medicare, we make it available for the American people, and if we're right, as progressives, that public alternative is better, then the American people will figure that out for themselves. I trust the American people to make the right choice for them. Why don't you?
That response is nonsense. So let's break this down. He leads with, the problem with your bill is you don't trust the American people. You have to let them make a choice. Choice is so wonderful. So I've made this argument about 1,000 times on this show, but I'll continue to, and nobody else is making this point, which is a shame. I wish people would start making this point. But there are certain things where the concept of choice is kind of hilarious and ridiculous. So for example, the fire department. The idea of like, oh, we're going to sell you a fire protection package. Here it is. Which rooms do you want protected? You want your bedroom protected? You want your kitchen protected? Do you want your living room protected? Because that's extra. What do you want? Here's a package. You pick. If you have that conversation with people, they'll be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? You're the fire department. If something catches fire, you come and put it out. No questions asked. Free at the point of service. End of conversation. That's how everybody thinks about it. You want to know why? Because we're used to that. So if you try to introduce choice into the equation, people will be like, bitch, this is not about like what flavor of donut I want. This is about there's a fire, come put it out. The notion of choice in healthcare not only is equally absurd, it might even be more absurd. Why? Because what do you mean choice of health insurance? What does that mean? Oh, I want the package that covers my spleen, but I don't want the one that covers my kidney. I want the one that covers cancer. I don't want the one that covers heart disease. What are you talking about? No. Sick help. Sick help. That's how it works. Should be able to go to whatever doctor you want. End of conversation. No roadblocks, no nothing. No, that's out of network like the private, companies hit you with all the time. So the idea of introducing choice in an area where it should be a right is comical. It's actually beyond silly. But he invokes that because he knows that ideology is so deeply embedded in the American psyche that it invokes the reaction of people being like, yeah, why are you taking away my choice? Imagine saying to somebody, why are you taking away my choice of fire department? Why are you taking away my choice of fire insurance? It'd be ridiculous. So that's why that's ridiculous. Now, furthermore, the issue with what he's proposing is it's effectively still turning over control of the marketplace to private mafia-like middlemen. Any proposal that isn't full Medicare for all, okay, whether it's the Jayapal bill or the Bernie Sanders bill, any proposal but those two is fundamentally just gaslighting the American people to protect the profits of the for-profit health insurance companies and protect the status quo to one extent or another. Some go a little further, some don't go far at all, but to one extent or another, all the other candidates, unless they're in favor of flat-out Medicare for all, they are protecting the status quo and screwing over the American people. Because basically what Mayor Pete is saying is, why don't you give people the choice to be screwed over by a mafia-like middleman who's going to price gouge them for no reason? That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying. So that's why it's incredibly frustrating, because it's a smug response, and I think he knows that response is kind of bullshit, but he's going with it anyway because he's trying to differentiate himself between Bernie, and he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, where he says, no, I'm in favor of Medicare for all, bro! But it's Medicare for all who want it. So you can get this public option, or you can, keep your mafia ripping you off. It's one or the other. And also, by the way, what would usually happen in a hybrid system like that is the private insurance companies would try to basically tank the public system and just dump everybody off who's sick and likely to be sick on that system. And the healthy people stay in the private system because they want more profit. And you overload the public system to try to bring down the quality of the care there. So that's the detailed answer as to why his response here is just utter nonsense, and why it's shameful, and why it's abysmal. And man, it really frustrates me because now you have so many candidates who are pretending like they are for Medicare for all or a version of it, but they're not. What they're in favor of is fundamentally not Medicare for all. So they're trying to leech off the popularity of the real deal Holyfield while not actually walking the walk and talking the talk, and pushing for the things that would actually fix the system. So they're smart enough to know I can't buck the trend here, but they're still corrupt, so they got to weasel their way through where they act like, I'm totally for it, and by that I mean I'm not for it at all. And it's just so frustrating. At least be honest and be like, no, I'm not for it, and my plan is not that, and etc. But they don't do that. They go right to, oh, no, totally, bro. I'm for it, but let me tell you why it's so wrong. It's so frustrating.